Hey, I am Kevin Beerman. I was in the room from 2009 until 2012. Currently, I'm a graduate student at the University of Chicago, and I am studying poetics, which is actually very far from what I was doing when I was in the room. But in my office at the moment, I am actually fulfilling a different role. I'm not actually reading poetry or doing any sort of classwork. I am also, in addition to a student here, I work at the Center for Studies in Gender and Sexuality, and I am the events and media intern, which incorporates a lot of skills that I learned in the room that I would not have had access to. Like editing video, knowing how to work a digital camera, being able to work through the Photoshop and sort of across the Adobe suite platforms. Those are really valuable tools to know. This isn't even the first job I've had that. One of my jobs before coming here was at the New York Council for the Humanities, and by the mere fact that I knew how to work InDesign, I was able to hold on to that position longer than they had planned when I first came on, and was able to really kind of be a big part of our redesign when we rebranded ourselves as Humanities New York. But aside from just having the skills that you gain on the platforms, I think first and foremost what this room, which is now not even the room, but the Pub Lab, I think that being a part of that environment and that organization is that Manful and Jordan do an amazing job of creating an environment where expectations are that you will be supported in your work, but that you also expected to fulfill your vision. When I was there, it was a little bit more amorphous, the boundaries between the yearbook and the news magazine and the website, and there was a lot of opportunity to sort of create conversations between those different mediums, which is something I was really interested in. And I had a lot of support from the immense resources, not only of Manful's time, but just the material resources that are available in this program are, it's almost absurd. It's a phenomenal place to actually have the material support you need. But I was also expected to produce something, and in one regard that can sound at first glance like you're held to just a very high standard of performance, but what it does is it gives you an opportunity to push yourself and to succeed in that, which is something that is not always available to you in different organizations that you can get involved in. It is unique in this room the way that that comes about. You have opportunities to create things, to see how those creations are handled by the people for whom you created them, and then incorporate the feedback of that really dynamic opposition and that whole process into the next iteration of whatever your idea is. And this room does an amazing job of creating an environment where that is encouraged, where you're encouraged to take a chance on some idea you have, where you're encouraged to think outside the box, and is also a room that simultaneously provides an environment that makes that an okay thing to do, even when it doesn't go according to plan. And that's something that's sort of invaluable, because you don't really see until you're out in the world how significant it is that you have the capacity, while you're working on the FHN publication staff, to conceive of something in your head and to make it real in front of your face, and know that that is a thing that you can do moving forward. In the world that I've been in, which is academia, it is not always the easiest thing to do to run with an idea you have. There's an immense amount of demand that you be able to show a lineage of how you go from here to there, and thinking and writing, and the sorts of theoretical frameworks you develop and the methodologies that you adopt. And so if you want to make a mark, and if you want to be able to produce something that catches people's attention, but doesn't only catch people's attention, but also makes something that is important possible, whether it be news that you cover, whether it be writing that is done, or whether it be ideas that people are able to have. You have to take a risk sometimes in stepping into unknown territory. And that can be really hard if you don't have the confidence that you're able to navigate those uncertain waters. Sometimes it's not that you have a good idea, and sometimes it's not that your good ideas are even evidently good ideas when you have them. Sometimes you have bad ideas that appear to be good ideas. Sometimes you have good ideas that don't appear to be good ideas, but are just amorphous ideas. And one thing that is completely indispensable beyond learning how to code on a website, beyond being able to manage a complicated content schedule for delivering a website, beyond being able to manage distributing information across a news magazine, or handling the long publication process that is making a yearbook, all of which things you learn in this room. The single most important is how to fail, how to learn from failure, and how to succeed. Because those are the real skills that are necessary out in the adult world. Something that I realized that is invaluable is that no one has any idea what they're doing. Out in the world, they're just throwing paper towels at the wall, which is, okay, that was a bad metaphor for brainstorming, but it makes me think of this episode of Friends where doesn't matter. The point is, that was my roundabout way of saying you just see what sticks, you know? There's no rubric for it. The only thing that you have to work off of is faith that you have the capacity to make what is intangible in your head something tangible in the world. And sometimes that's not something you can just know. The way that looks in process is not clear. There's no set form for that. If it were so simple, everyone would be able to do that walking out of the gate. But if there's one amorphous thing in the adult world, it is what it means to be able to occupy a space in an organization and navigate the uncertain waters that you will, as an adult, just have to navigate. With the ability to be anxious at times and unclear that you're making the right moves, but knowing that you know how to, no matter what comes down the pipe, handle what comes down the pipe.